So paragraph 3 is your compare and contrast. So you need to decide which stimulus is more persuasive, or are they equal in their persuasion? What does that mean? Well, for this paragraph, you need to consider the persuasive power. Now, this means the ability to convince others of what you believe. So, which text is more persuasive in making us believe the author, the director, or the poet's message? Is Fire Sermon. Think about that one. Is how much persuasive power does Judith Wright have to make us believe her message? How does she make us want to engage with what she's trying to teach us? In the same way, how do we engage with the message from We Were Soldiers? So to do this, you need to go back to what we've been looking at this term in our persuasive appeals. So you need to think about how the poem and the clip use pathos, use logos, use ethos to really make the audience want to believe the message, to want to engage with them. And I have put on there ingredients for persuasion, which is a full list of the features. You'll find that on your English OneNote. So Fire Sermon, how persuasive is Wright in making us believe in a message? So I want you to go to your notes where we wrote the message of the poem. What were we taught through this poem? Remember, we looked at subject matter, we looked at message, and that helped us build the representation. So take it back one step. What was that message? And then think, well, what are some phrases from the poem that make us see and then believe in this message Judith Wright is trying to tell us? Once you've done that, you can start to think, well, how effective is it? Now, if there's not many examples, it's not very persuasive. But at the same time, having a lot of examples doesn't always make it more persuasive. It's about the examples. So you need to think, what persuasive appeals is Wright using, and is she using them effectively to persuade us? So just like you did for the RE one, where would you rank Fire Sermon in terms of the persuasive appeal? And then think about, well, why? What language of persuasion made you give it that rating? In the same way, We Were Soldiers, how persuasive is the clip in making us believe in the message? Again, we've got the message in our books, and now let's go back. But the beauty of film is that you need to consider the influence of music and visuals. How does the music being played over his speech help us to engage emotionally? And does that make it more persuasive? So then you can do the exact same rating. Again, justifying with evidence. You need the evidence to move forward with your paragraph. So for this, based on your rating and your justification, which is more persuasive, or are they equally? You just doesn't matter what you say, you just need to be able to prove it. So looking at this, really I think there's 3 options that you can go with. The first one, you can say both Fire Sermon and We Were Soldiers are both equally persuasive in making us believe their message. And so you would be comparing how they're both persuasive. Or you can choose option 2, where you choose one. Now you've ranked either Fire Sermon or you've ranked We Were Soldiers as the most persuasive text. And so you're contrasting how they're different, how this one is more persuasive. Then I put in this third option because I feel some of you will say, well, they're both equally persuasive, but in different ways. And so in this one, you are contrasting how they're both persuasive through different techniques. So yeah, comparatively equal persuasion, but they do it in different ways, so you can contrast that. So I've broken it down into the 3 options and what you would talk about for the compare and contrast. You would go through why they're equally persuasive, your keywords, then you explain how the poem is persuasive, and then it could be similarly, in comparison, this is how the clip is persuasive. And this one is about, well, why is it important that different texts can have different messages but be the same in their persuasive power. They can both make us want to engage with their message. Option 2, easy one, compare. One text is more effective, more persuasive. Why is this text more effective in persuading? In contrast, this one less effective and less persuasive. And then we need to think, well, why is this important? Why is it important that we understand some text use techniques more effectively than others? Like, why is it important we understand that? This is your big thinking. So these ones, just by looking at the text, you can break that down, but this is where you really have to do your big thinking. And the last one, why is the text effective? In contrast, why is this one? So this one uses this techniques, however, this one uses this technique, but both are just as persuasive. So why is it important we understand different texts use different techniques to be persuasive? So let's go through. I'm using Kill to Eat and Sunday, Bloody Sunday, and we'll walk through an example of each. So pause it now so you can read. I've used the same color coding as I did for the structure. And if you read through that, you can see the use of terminology. You can see we've got quotes, and then you can see the connection. And this is giving you an idea of the bigger picture you're meant to be looking for. Option 2, people, I'll pause it so you can read it before I go on. But again, it's color coded. And you'll see with this one, I've used all of these cohesive links to show comparison throughout. But again, I've got quotes, I've got the language of the unit, we've got the appeals, so we should be seeing all that in there. Option 3, pause it so you can read it. And this one, you'll see again, there's the cohesive links in there to show where I'm telling you the difference. So the main things you want to think about are which of the options you want to take, because you should choose one where you have that knowledge, you have that understanding, and you can easily write. And I look forward to reading those.